Someone asked you how you're doing, and you said, I'm fine. But you weren't fine. You were something else. You were tired, but not the kind of tired that sleep fixes.
Or you were nervous, but about something you couldn't quite explain. Or you were carrying something heavy and quiet and you just didn't have the words for it, not in English.
So you said, I'm fine. And they said, great, and moved on. And you smiled, and you thought, yeah, fine.
But here's what I want to ask you today. What if I'm fine isn't just a language problem? What if it's actually a feeling problem? The feeling that your inner world doesn't deserve more than 2 words.
Because it does. And today, we're going to give it more than that. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Alex, and this is Talk Sarah, where we talk about the English for the inside.
Okay, Alex, full honesty, how are you actually doing today?
Oh, we're starting with that immediately.
We are. No, I'm fine allowed.
Okay. Honestly, I'm a little flat today. You know that feeling where nothing's wrong, really, but you're just off, like a phone that's at 40% battery. Technically working, but you know it's not going to make it through the day.
That's such a real feeling.
And the worst part is, if someone asks me how I am, I don't know how to explain 40% battery in casual conversation. So I just say, I'm fine, a bit tired. And that covers nothing.
It covers everything and nothing at the same time.
Exactly. What about you?
I had a moment this morning, actually. I was on a video call, work thing, and someone asked how I was, and I went blank. I knew I was feeling something. I was feeling kind of unsettled, like something was slightly off in my chest, but I couldn't name it. So I said, good, with this big smile.
The good with the nodding.
The nodding. Like if I nod fast enough, it becomes true.
That's genuinely one of the most relatable things you've ever said on this podcast.
And it got me thinking, this is exactly what we're talking about today. Not just the social habit of saying, I'm fine, but the deeper thing underneath it. The feeling that maybe English just doesn't have room for your real feelings, or that you don't have the words, or both.
Both, definitely both. And we want to fix that today. We really do.
If you've ever nodded and said, good, while feeling completely different, we see you. Write in the comments right now what you're actually feeling today. Just try it. We read every single one.
So let's start at the beginning. Why do we say I'm fine even when we're not?
I think there are actually a few different reasons, and they're all a little different. The first one is social. I'm fine is almost like a password, right? You say it, the other person says great, and you're both allowed to move on. Nobody asked for the real answer.
It's a social script.
Exactly. And in English, especially in some English-speaking cultures, that script is very strong. How are you is a greeting, not an actual question, so I'm fine is the correct response, not an honest one, the correct one.
Right. It's performative. You're performing okay. You're not actually reporting your emotional state.
But, and this is the part I find really interesting, for language learners, there's a second layer. It's not just social. It's that you genuinely don't have the words for anything more nuanced.
Oh, that's real. That's so real.
Because think about it. You know the big words, happy, sad, angry, tired, but what about the in-between states, the ones that are actually the most common?
The 4 a.m. thoughts, the quiet anxiety, the dull Sunday feeling.
Exactly those. And when you don't have the word, what do?
You simplify. You compress. You say, I'm fine, because I'm fine requires 0 vocabulary.
It's the safe choice. And I want to name something here because I think it matters. There's a kind of loneliness in that. When you have feelings you can't name in the language you're speaking, it's a little like being invisible. You're there, but a big part of you isn't.
Yeah, that landed.
I want to tell you about someone. I'll call her Amara. She moved to London from Nigeria for her master's degree, and her English was strong, genuinely strong. But she said in an interview I read that the hardest part wasn't academic vocabulary, it was emotional vocabulary. She said, I could write a 12-page essay, but I couldn't explain to my flatmate why I was crying on a Tuesday.
Oh.
Because the words she had in English, sad, upset, homesick, felt too small, too blunt. They didn't carry the specific texture of what she was feeling, so she just said she was tired. Every time.
Every time.
And here's the word I want to introduce for this: inarticulate. When you're inarticulate, it means you can feel something deeply, but you struggle to find the words for it. Inarticulate.
Inarticulate, like you have a feeling too big for the words you have access to.
Exactly, like you're reaching for something that's just out of arm's length.
Have you ever felt inarticulate in English or any language? Tell us in the comments.
Okay, so we've named the problem. Now let's start solving it, because here's the thing. These feelings do have names. They're just not the ones we teach in English class.
Right, nobody teaches you unsettled in a textbook.
Nobody. You get pleased and disappointed, which, I mean, helpful, but not quite right for real life.
I am pleased.
I am most pleased. Very natural.
So let's go in. What's the first one?
Okay, you know that feeling the morning of something hard, a job interview, a presentation, a difficult conversation you've been avoiding, when your hands are slightly shaky and your thoughts are running a little too fast, and it's not exactly fear, but it's not calm either.
Yes, that feeling lives in my chest.
That feeling has a name. It's jittery. Jittery. It means nervous energy that doesn't quite know where to go, like your body has too many tabs open.
Jittery. I love that word. It sounds like what it is, like there's actually something fizzing inside you.
It does, right? It's onomatopoeic almost. I felt so jittery before I had to speak in the meeting.
She sounded jittery on the phone, like she was holding something back. Yes, perfect.
The other one I want to name is hollow, and this is a different state entirely.
Hollow. Say more.
You know when something happens, or when something ends, and you don't feel sad exactly. You just feel empty. Like someone scooped something out of you and didn't put anything back.
Like after finishing a really long project, or after a trip ends.
Or after a big argument that you won, and you feel terrible anyway.
Oof, yes, that particular kind of hollow.
Hollow. Like an echo in an empty room. There's nothing wrong, there's just nothing there.
I felt hollow after my last job. I kept waiting to feel relieved because I'd wanted to leave for so long. But when I finally did, I just felt flat, empty.
And if someone asked you how you were,
Pause. I'm fine, just processing. That was my version of I'm fine.
just processing. Which, honestly, is still more honest than most.
The bar.
You know that feeling when something good ends? A holiday, a chapter of your life, even just a really good meal, and someone says, "So, how do you feel?" And you try to say something, and what comes out is, "Good. Yeah, it was great." But that's not what's happening inside. Inside, something is draining away, quietly, like sand through your fingers.
And you don't say that because how do you say that in the middle of a birthday dinner?
You don't. So you say, "I'm fine." And you smile, and you carry the hollow thing alone.
I want to go a bit deeper here because I think I'm fine can become more than a social habit. It can become a kind of wall.
Say more about that.
I had a friend, I'll call him Daniel. We'd known each other for years, and I knew something was wrong. I could feel it. He seemed withdrawn, which is a great word, withdrawn. It means pulling back from people or situations, retreating inside yourself.
Withdrawn, like the tide going out.
Exactly like that. But every time I asked Daniel how he was, I'm fine, just busy, just tired, fine. Always fine. And I didn't push because what do? You can't force someone to talk.
And sometimes "I'm fine" is protection. It's not a lie exactly. It's more like armor.
It is armor. And the thing about armor is it protects you, but it also keeps everything out, including the people who actually want to help.
I think there's a word for this state. When you're okay on the outside, but something is quietly wrong on the inside. Unsettled. You're not in crisis. Nothing is dramatically bad, but there's this persistent low-level feeling that something is off, out of place, like a painting that's slightly crooked on the wall.
You can function, you're getting things done, but in the back of your mind, something keeps pulling your attention.
Yes, that's unsettled. And it's one of those feelings that I'm fine completely covers over, because I'm fine has no room for slightly crooked painting.
It really doesn't.
And here's what I think is the real cost. When you say, I'm fine enough times, you start to believe it. Or worse, you stop checking. You stop asking yourself what you're actually. You know when something happens, or when something ends, and you don't feel sad exactly. You just feel empty. Like someone scooped something out of you and didn't put anything back.
Like after finishing a really long project, or after a trip ends.
Or after a big argument that you won and you feel terrible anyway.
Oof, yes, that particular kind of hollow.
Hollow, like an echo in an empty room. There's nothing wrong, there's just nothing there.
I felt hollow after my last job. I kept waiting to feel relieved because I'd wanted to leave for so long. But when I finally did, I just felt flat, empty.
And if someone asked you how you were,
Pause. I'm fine, just processing. That was my version of I'm fine.
just processing, which honestly is still more honest than most.
The bar.
You know that feeling when something good ends? A holiday, a chapter of your life, even just a really good meal, and someone says, "So, how do you feel?" And you try to say something, and what comes out is, "Good. Yeah, it was great." But that's not what's happening inside. Inside, something is draining away quietly, like sand through your fingers.
And you don't say that because how do you say that in the middle of a birthday dinner?
You don't. So you say, "I'm fine." And you smile, and you carry the hollow thing alone.
I want to go a bit deeper here because I think I'm fine can become more than a social habit. It can become a kind of wall.
Say more about that.
I had a friend, I'll call him Daniel. We'd known each other for years, and I knew something was wrong. I could feel it. He seemed withdrawn, which is a great word, withdrawn. It means pulling back from people or situations, retreating inside yourself.
Withdrawn, like the tide going out.
Exactly like that. But every time I asked Daniel how he was, I'm fine, just busy, just tired. Fine. Always fine. And I didn't push because what do? You can't force someone to talk.
And sometimes "I'm fine" is protection. It's not a lie exactly. It's more like armor.
It is armor. And the thing about armor is it protects you, but it also keeps everything out, including the people who actually want to help.
I think there's a word for this state. When you're okay on the outside, but something is quietly wrong on the inside. Unsettled. You're not in crisis. Nothing is dramatically bad, but there's this persistent low-level feeling that something is off, out of place, like a painting that's slightly crooked on the wall.
You can function, you're getting things done, but in the back of your mind, something keeps pulling your attention.
Yes, that's unsettled. And it's one of those feelings that "I'm fine" completely covers over, because "I'm fine" has no room for slightly crooked painting.
It really doesn't.
And here's what I think is the real cost. When you say "I'm fine" enough times, you start to believe it. Or worse, you stop checking. You stop asking yourself what you're actually feeling, because the habit is so automatic.
You outsource your emotional reporting to the script.
Exactly. And then one day, something breaks through. You cry at an ad, or you snap at someone for no reason, or you feel this sudden wave of something and you don't know where it came from, because you haven't been paying attention.
Because you've been saying I'm fine for 6 weeks.
For 6 weeks. Or 6 months.
Okay, so this is the part I love, because we've talked about the problem.
Now, what actually changes when you find the word?
Everything. And I mean that genuinely. It changes something in your body.
Yes, it's not just intellectual.
There's actually research on this. The act of naming an emotion, in any language, reduces the intensity of it, like literally, in your nervous system. When you say, I'm anxious, your brain responds differently than when you have unnamed, shapeless fear.
So the word is the medicine in a way.
The word is the container, and I'm fine is a container that's too small for the actual feeling. It's like trying to pour a river into a teacup.
I love that.
And for English learners, the moment you find the right word in English, something else happens. You feel legible, like you can be read, like the language now has room for you.
Legible. That's a beautiful word for it.
I want to tell you about a moment from my own life. I was going through something hard a few years ago, and I was talking to a colleague, a native English speaker, and I was trying to explain how I felt, and I was using words like not great and a bit off, all very safe, very vague. And she looked at me and said, "It sounds like you're worn down."
Oh.
And I just stopped because that was it. Worn down. Not broken, not depressed, just worn, like something that's been rubbed too many times against something rough.
Like fabric.
Like fabric, exactly. And I said, yes, that's exactly it. And something in me relaxed because I'd been seen and I'd been given a word.
And you didn't need to say, I'm fine anymore.
Not to her, no.
You know that feeling when someone describes exactly what you're going through better than you could have described it yourself, and something inside you just unlocks? Like you've been holding your breath for a long time and you didn't realize it until you finally let it out? That's what the right word can do. That's what we want to give you today.
Okay, practical question, because I know some of you are thinking, yes, but I can't say I feel hollow to my coworker on a Monday morning. That's too much.
It is a lot for Monday morning.
So, how do you actually use this vocabulary without feeling like you're being overly dramatic or making it weird?
I think the key is you don't have to go all the way in. You can go part way and it's still more honest than I'm fine.
Yes, there are softer versions. Instead of I'm fine, try I'm a bit off today, or I'm feeling a little flat, or even just I'm tired, not just physically.
That last one, not just physically, that does so much work in 5 words.
It opens a door. It doesn't demand anyone walk through it, but it says there's more here if you want to ask.
And for people you trust, you can go further. I'm feeling a bit unsettled lately, or I've been kind of hollow this week, honestly.
And you know what usually happens when you say something real?
The other person does too.
Almost every time. Because most people are also walking around saying, I'm fine, about things they're not fine about. And when someone else cracks the door open, they feel permission to do the same.
I'm fine is contagious, but so is honesty.
So is honesty. I love that.
Okay, it's time for the word tour. This is the part where we slow down and really sit with the vocabulary from today. These are words for feelings you've already had. You just might not have had the word for them yet.
8 words today. Let's take our time. You know that feeling, the morning of something important, when your hands won't quite stay still and your thoughts are jumping from one thing to the next, and there's this buzzing energy that wants to go somewhere but doesn't know where? That's not just nervousness. That's something more specific.
That feeling has a name. Jittery. Jittery means nervous energy that's buzzing through your body and can't settle, like you have too many tabs open in your brain and in your body.
Here's an example. I felt so jittery before the video call. My hands kept moving even when I wasn't typing. Or, she sounded jittery on the phone, like she was holding her breath between words.
Your turn. When was the last time you felt jittery in English? Maybe before speaking, before asking something, before a big moment. Tell us in the comments.
Say it with me. Jittery.
You know that feeling when something ends and instead of feeling sad or relieved, you just feel empty, like a quiet room after everyone's left. Not pain exactly, just absence.
That's hollow. Hollow means emotionally empty, like something that should be there isn't. It's the feeling after the trip ends, after the relationship finishes, after the project you gave everything to is finally done.
I finished the exam and I thought I'd feel relieved, but I just felt hollow. Or she smiled, but her eyes looked hollow, like she was far away.
Have you ever felt hollow in English when you expected to feel something else? Write it in the comments.
Say it with me. Hollow.
You know that feeling when nothing is catastrophically wrong, but something is off? Like a song playing in a slightly wrong key. You're functioning, you're getting through the day, but in the background, something is quietly nagging.
That's unsettled. Unsettled means a low-level feeling that something is out of place, like a stone in your shoe that you keep forgetting about and then remembering.
I've been feeling unsettled since that conversation. I can't quite put my finger on why. Or, there was something unsettled in his voice, like he wanted to say more.
In today's episode, Amara felt unsettled in London. Not sad, not angry, just quietly off. When have you felt unsettled? In a new place, a new situation, a new version of your life?
Say it with me. Unsettled.
You know that feeling, not the sudden crash, but the slow one, when you've been going for too long, giving too much, resting too little, and you haven't broken exactly, but you feel thin, like an old piece of cloth rubbed against something rough over and over.
That's worn down. Worn down means gradually exhausted, not from one big thing, but from the accumulation of small things over time.
I wasn't burnt out exactly, just worn down, like I'd been running on empty for too long. Or she looked worn down by the end of the semester, tired in a way that one good night's sleep wouldn't fix.
This is Sarah's word from today, the word someone gave her that finally named her experience. Has someone ever given you a word that made you feel seen? Tell us, and tell us if worn down is yours.
Say it with me. Worn down.
You know that feeling when you need to pull back, when the world feels like too much, and you just want to get smaller, quieter, less visible. It's not depression necessarily, it's more like retreating into yourself, like a snail going back into its shell.
That's withdrawn. Withdrawn means pulling back from other people and situations, becoming quieter, less engaged, more internal.
He'd been withdrawn for weeks, not rude, just absent, like he'd stepped back behind glass. Or, when I'm overwhelmed, I get withdrawn. I cancel plans, I go quiet on messages.
Alex's friend Daniel from today's episode was withdrawn. Have you ever been withdrawn or known someone who was? What did it look like?
Say it with me. Withdrawn.
You know that feeling when you have something real and important to say, but the words won't come, or they come out wrong, too small, too blunt, missing the texture of what you actually mean. When you feel deeply but speak flatly.
That's inarticulate. Inarticulate means unable to express something clearly in words, not because you're not intelligent, but because the feeling is bigger than the language you have available right now.
I felt completely inarticulate at the end of the night. I'd been holding so much, and none of it came out right. Or she became inarticulate when she tried to describe how homesick she felt. The words kept falling short.
Amara felt inarticulate in English. Have you? Is there a feeling you've been carrying in your language that you haven't been able to say in English yet? This might be your moment.
Say it with me. Inarticulate.
You know that feeling when you're not sad, not happy, just level, like a gray Tuesday afternoon in your chest. Nothing's wrong, nothing's right, everything is just muted.
That's flat. Flat means emotionally dull or low. Not sad, not anxious, just the absence of strong feeling. Like music with no highs or lows, just one long note.
I've been feeling really flat this week. Nothing's wrong, I just can't seem to feel excited about anything. Or, her voice was flat on the phone. I could tell she was going through the motions.
Alex started today feeling flat, like a phone at 40%. Is that a feeling you know? What does flat feel like for you?
Say it with me. Flat.
And finally, this one is different. You know that feeling when you've been through something hard and the rawness hasn't gone away yet? When you're okay, you're getting through it, but everything feels a little closer to the surface than usual. A song can set you off. A kind word can make you cry. You're not broken. You're just open.
That's tender. Tender means emotionally sensitive and a little raw, in the way that a bruise is tender. You're healing, but you're still soft in that place.
I'm feeling tender today. I'm not sure why, but everything's hitting a bit harder than usual. Or be gentle with her right now. She's in a tender place.
This might be the most important word in today's episode, because I'm fine almost never coexists with feeling tender, and yet tender is one of the most common human states. Have you been feeling tender lately? You can say so in the comments. This is a safe place.
Say it with me. Tender.
We started today with I'm fine, and I hope by now you have something better. Not because I'm fine is wrong, but because you are more than fine. You're flat, or unsettled, or tender, or worn down, or hollowed out, or quietly jittery about something that matters to you.
And those things deserve their names.
So here's your challenge for today. One thing. In the comments, write this. Right now, I feel blank because blank. That's it. Fill in the blanks. Use any word, one from today or one of your own. Just try it, in English, out loud.
And if you know someone who always says, I'm fine, even when you know they're not, share this episode with them. Not with a note, just a link. They'll understand.
And the episode challenge, the same question we ask every week. What word from today is yours? The one that named something you've been carrying without a word for it. Tell us.
Was it hollow, tender, inarticulate?
Mine this week is tender. I've been feeling tender, and it feels good, strange but good, to say that out loud.
Mine is flat. I said it at the start, and it was the most honest I'd been all day.
We'll see you next time. Take care of yourselves.
And find the words.
Find the words.